One of the best parts about hosting the Design Build Delivers podcast, brought to you by Archon's an Autodesk Platinum partner, is the stories guests share about what our high-level concepts and theoretical frameworks and best practices look like in action on the ground in the field. Last month's episode on DBE certification was no exception. Our guests, Freddie Streeter and Rachael Pease, shared a lot about what the DBE certification changes mean, but we didn't have enough time in one episode to truly ground things. Now, not only are Rachael and Freddie experts on DBEs, on small businesses from 30,000 feet, they live in it in their own day-to-day. So, in this Design Build Delivers podcast bonus content episode, we took a step back and we talked about why DBE certification even matters in the industry, period. So let me throw a wild card in here, and this is one of those, you know the answer, I know the answer. Hopefully most people listening know, but let's just say it out loud. Rachael, you made me think of this when you were talking about this program was put together to help DBEs. Remind us why that's important.
We have a lot of great small companies. We have some very talented people from all the way up and down the life cycle funnel, if you will. Project management, construction, scope, it doesn't really matter. And without the ability to build capacity, then that becomes just a crippler for the market as a whole. My experience was in a mentor protege program. So I was able to get with a larger company and understand the process from end to end. And I had to actually have a satellite office out in Arizona. And he wanted me out there every other week working with him, had my team out there working with their vice presidents, with their estimators and things like that. So we were able to mature in the back office. And without that, most small companies are not going to have that ability. And then if you make it very difficult for a larger company to say, well, we got DEI issues, we got DBE issues, some of the areas we're not focusing on, because just because the DBE recertification is a thing right now, the women-owned is also a thing. So all your minority certifications now are under scrutiny, except for service disabled vet. That's pretty much the only one. That's not, because it's not minority based. So everything else, your woman-owned, your minority-owned, all of those certifications are now being scrutinized, not just at the federal level, but also at the city, state, municipal levels. So that's going to be a downstream effect on how it affects small business. If you have the larger companies, like Rachael said, they're still on their game and they're still committed to what they're doing. Turner has said that Brass and Grory also have a very good relationship with Beck here in Dallas. Those guys are still moving forward with their small business programs, regardless of what the government is saying. So, and I think that's going to be very important to build some of these up and growing companies. And Rachael and I had to talk about a company that's under her. So with her son, and I'll let her go into that. But for companies like his, for companies like mine and other smaller companies, I think it's going to be very instrumental that we have that support as we start to grow and mature.
So my son is a small business. He owns a landscaping company, Pease Landscaping, if you need any landscaping here in Washington. Getting him started with his business license and the LNI, and he'd gotten his first, he was residential, moving over to commercial. And as an advocate for small business, I was like, I'm going to help him get this all going. And boy, was I in for a surprise. He's doing his first public works project. And so we had to go to LNI to get an intent. It took us 2.5 months to get him to be able to get his intent filed because of he had to refile his business license because he had to have industrial insurance on it. So to refile that. Then everything got lost in translation. LNI wasn't responding. They were taking it was just a nightmare. And I'm like, I'm really engaged with the small business, but when it becomes personal, when it's your son, and he's looking at me going, why can't you help me? And I'm like, because the agencies aren't talking to each other. And it's just very complicated. So that is my little spiel about just the pain points that we put these small businesses through to get certified. It's hard. It's a lot of work. And you got a person who's got 2 employees doing everything. They don't have time for that. So on top of that, you got this recertification process, and he's going through that right now. So I'll report back, hopefully it'll go smoother than most. I guess back to the pitch, the original question, why is it important? Look, we all started as small businesses. Everybody did. We didn't all start out this grandiose company. We all have our origin story, and it wasn't we didn't just start big, right? Our country is built on small businesses. This is what we do. This is what it's about. In our industry, we're seeing our workforce we're retiring out. We already can see what's coming down. We're trying to recruit more. That's why we're looking at the high schools now. Now they're doing these STEM programs, and we're seeing more of these opportunities now that were never opportunities to me. Construction was never an opportunity for me when I was in high school. That wasn't on my track, So, I mean, you can see that it's changing and it's gearing towards more this A&C industry. Us in this industry need to do a better job and really support these small businesses, because those are going to be the big businesses in the next generation or two. These are the companies that are going to employ the workforce. We have to think of it like the infinite game, I guess, is what I'd like to say, instead of this game that we're playing right now. We're living right now, and it's all about right now, and it's not. It's about our future of our industry. And it all starts with that small business that's going to grow. Freddie's business is going to, what's the name of your company again?
Veterans Pre-Construction and Visual Solutions.
And he's going to be big in Texas, and he's going to grow his business and he's going to be the one who's going to be employing the next generation. And he's going to be the one hiring these next small businesses and mentoring them. So I think we just have to think of it, like I said, that infinite game of like, where do we want to see our industry and how's it going to grow? And it starts with the small businesses.
I don't think anybody could have said it better than the two of you did. And so if anyone's listening and they're still like, why does it matter? Remember how many, as Rachel said, how many people started out of a garage, out of a tiny little corner, out of their office at their full-time job going, that's it, I'm out of here. When I get this thing going, I'm gone. Don't worry, Lisa and Danielle, I'm not trying to tell you something there. I'm not planning on launching a small business anytime soon. And for anyone hoping that was the case, and you might get to keep the 2-time Stevie Award-winning Design Build Delivers podcast without Aaron, I am truly sorry, but I'm also not. That means I'll see you next week for a new conversation with Dave Triplett and Laura Stagner on what's going on in federal design build. For now, go back and check out April's episode with Freddie and Rachael for the rest on this chat on DBEs. This was a Design Build Delivers podcast bonus episode brought to you by Archons, an Autodesk Platinum partner. Learn more at archons.us/DBIA.